Hello, hello, hello. So, birds in flight, any colour you like. I would suggest grabbing yourself a mixing palette. I am probably going to work on this side. I will try and remember to hold it up and down. If you need me to, give me a shout. So I'm going to grab some purples. That one is just some kind of an odd mix. This is some Rose of Ultramarine because I love it. I think I might grab something a little bit pinky. That looks like quinacridone magenta. No, it's not. It's not pink enough. What about that one? I want something quinacridone. Yes, that's beautiful. I don't know if it's quinacridone magenta, but it's exactly what I was looking for. Opera rose, because it's always lovely. And I think that's probably going to do me to start with. I'm going to try out this brush. I have no idea what it's like. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to use the Rose of Ultramarine. I'm going to give this brush a go. It feels quite soft to what I'm used to, and I might need to twizzle my page a little bit. So in my head, these little flying birdies, they have kind of an oval shaped body with a little flat bit there, so a flattened oval. And then, oh, my Mac is doing some weird stuff. I'll come and deal with that in a second. And what I want is a curve rather than a pointy bit here. Now I've made this one a little bit fatter than I would like a little bit wider in proportions, but I think that's okay. I want them to be a little bit different. Let me just sort that out. An email comes up and makes it go on split screen so I can't see what you're saying to me. It is lovely to see all you lovely, lovely people. And then I'm just going to pop on wings. Now the way I'm going to do the wings, pull out line. Now I'm drawing in paint because that's how I often do new stuff, like this. And you can just bring it to a point if you want to. I'm actually going to try and create a kind of a scallopy edge, like this, and then I'm going to fill that in. Now you have to work quick enough so that you don't get a hard dry line from the paint you've painted with, or if you're finding working quick a bit tricky, then this brush feels ever so weird. You can paint with a really light watery colour. So I want to do the same kind of thing the other side. A little bit of a kind of a line and a curve, and then one bump, two bump, three bumps, and then bring it in. And then I'm just going to fill that in. Now, this one's obviously all in one colour, and because I've never really tried this idea before, it's just, well, I have tried one to do a picture for the live post, but that's it. Obviously, take a little bit of refining and practicing and figuring out all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to just grab some of that magenta-y colour. I'm just going to put a few little bits in like this, and then I think I'm going to use the tip of my brush to just pop on two kind of real thin lines like that, like a big. And that's the basic shape that I'm going to go for, and I'm going to pop those all over my page in different orientations. So we're going for kind of folk art birds. Yeah, I have to wait, there's a bit of a lag. And I can't see where this is, so I'm hoping you can see this little guy here. Ignore these ones, they practice the other things. And so we're creating that basic shape to start off with. Ooh, okay, probably needs to be more there. And my light is pointing down, so the light's not so good when I go up higher. I'll hold that there for a second. Is it going to focus? You can see the basic kind of shape we're aiming at. That's kind of what we're going for. And then we're going to do lots of them. I want variety in my colour, so I'm going to grab some of this Rose of Ultramarine. I might mix a little bit of another colour in with it and see what ends up happening. I'm just going to try painting those basically over and over at slightly different variants until I figure out what I like. These kinds of pages are absolutely fab for doing that. Now I didn't do a breathing warm up because it started raining and I had to get my wash in. So I am just making sure my feet are nicely on the floor, that my shoulders aren't up near my ears, and I kind of come to this table almost with my intention to be mindful set, but that idea of being present and, you know, just being with the painting, approaching it with curiosity and fun, and just looking and seeing what happens if, and then not judging. So I'm just trying to figure out what's the shape that I really like. I really do like that pink that I popped in. So I am getting a feel for this brush as well. It's very different to the other number 6 brush that I'm doing. It's softer. I think it could be really quite fun. It feels nice. So I'm just going to grab little bits of kind of pink and pop these about. Might even go for some opera rose because it's a pretty colour. So I'm not sure who is painting along tonight, so if you are painting along and you fancy popping me just like a little comment to let me know, do. If you're busy painting, don't let me interrupt that. So I am literally just plopping them on the page tonight. I'm not worrying too much about where everything is going and how big things are. I'm just relaxing into it and having a little bit of fun with these shapes and the colours. Pop a little beaky bit on that one. Let's dry it a little bit. You can leave that until later and do it with pencil. So I wonder, what if I do slightly shorter wings? And I wonder if I could make the bump, not this way up. I was wondering if I could make the bumps just with the brush shape, but I can't do it so well this way up. Have a play with that. Oh, these bumpy bits are driving me batty getting them even. See, this is where my little, you know, faffer about it comes out. I normally send her off somewhere to not faff. So I'll draw them in because that was working for me. Okay. If they're not even, it's fine. Doesn't make any difference. They're just a lovely bit of fun. We're going to add pencil work and some glazing to them. So, you know, we'll get to firm up edges and things like that. Feel like I might need to just play around with that purple a little bit. Let's try that one. So I'm keeping them all inside the page for now. And I might try it with a different brush. I'm going to try with a spotter brush to see how it feels in comparison to this. This holds a lot more paint than my spotter brush would normally. So I'm going to see how that works. Ooh. That might be quite fun to go all the way along actually. I was doing different kind of styles of wings. Just do those bumps going all the way along. That feels very square and blocky, but we'll see. I think the first time sometimes when you do a page like this that has a pattern, you get to try out and see what things you really like, what shapes are really working for you, what things are, you know, yes, I definitely must include that, and other things that kind of aren't. My brush is really wet. Okay, let's just move some of that over there. I need to use the tip to get that curve shape. I'll just move it over a little bit. Luckily, because my paint was wet, it's not drying. I've got slightly uneven wings, but I'm alright with that. Pop in his little beak. Right, in my little pot of brushes, I've got my usual favourite. So bear with me a second while I have a little fertile around. That's the number 2 of the other round that I've been using. And that's the number 4 spotter. There's the number 4 round. Just literally grabbing out some brushes now there. I think that's that what I'm looking for. Yeah, number 3 spotter, that's what I want to try. Just to see how that it feels. Spotters have a much shorter amount of bristle. So this black one here is a number 5 spotter, and my new brush is a number 6. So this is actually a little bit smaller, but if you look, it's the width that kind of says whether it's a 5 or a 6. This one's slightly kind of slimmer and has less bristles. But can you see the difference in the length? A round is much longer than a spotter. Give it a go, Kirsten. You absolutely can. And you know, I'm learning as I'm going too. I'm learning about what shapes are working and what shapes aren't. Excuse me while I deal with Sherlock. What? He doesn't have anything, Sherlock, and he doesn't want to play. Come away. Come and sit by me. Good boy. I have this feeling Sherlock's going to be barking. Thinks that it's time to play. So I apologise in advance for any dogs that he gets overexcited. Thank you, Steen. I think it really is. This is when people say it's about the process, not the product. It's exactly that. It's exactly what you were saying. And I'm not saying I don't like to make things that are pretty or whatever, but I learned so much from these. Just fun little explorations of trying stuff out about what brush I like. Like this brush is the number 5 and it feels way too big for me. But instantly, with it being a spotter and holding less water, there's something about that shorter bristle that means I've got more control over the shape that I'm creating. So that helps, which is interesting. Every cat, I think bird plane hybrids sound awesome. I am really sorry for the clacking, guys. My dogs have decided that now is time for a mad 5 minutes. Which is currently involving running across the sofa because I'm not there and basically being little SH1Ts. I may have to call in reinforcements in the form of one of my children to take them upstairs if they continue with this rowdy behaviour. And they can be rowdy up there. I love it, Mika. Your cat sounds awesome. I do miss having a cat. My one dog is scared of cats. My other dog is not really cat friendly. Although we did have a cat, and we've had a cat. We had a cat when he was a puppy. She cowed him some until she was older. Better. Here we go. Right, I'm not going to fiddle about that. I'm going to try the number 3 spotter, which is this one, to see how it's going. They are having a wonderful time, aren't you, pooches? Playing with the cushions. It's like they know I don't want to get up and deal with them. I'm sure they'll calm down, probably. You two sound like you're in heels with your claws clacking. Right, so I've obviously got some gappy bits that I need to fill in, so I'm just going to go in and try a slightly smaller kind of body, but maybe a bit longer. See how I like that. And I'm going to have to make the wings a little bit shorter because you could glaze and overlap them, but I don't really want to today. At this point, anyway. So let's see if we can waterproofy little. I think one of the things that I'm not liking is how straight that bit is. I feel like I want more of a curve, but then they're too narrow when they get to the body. So I think maybe I want a shorter wing that's kind of got maybe more of a curvy shape to it. I'm going to have a play around with that. See if I can get a little. I think some days I find little shapes dead easy, and other days they feel quite challenging. So I'm going to just drip in some colours, just because it makes some interesting little patterns and things there. I so wish I could see that steam. It sounds awesome. I've always been scared of having little dogs, so I'm so incredibly clumsy and don't know where my feet are. If I accidentally go backwards, and one of my dogs are there because they're both border collies, so they're not big, but they're big enough. There might be a yelp, but there won't be any damage. But I think if I had a little dog, I'd be a bit scared of what my big, great size 7 feet would do. Right, I'm trying something a little bit different this time. So I've got my face. I need to go back and put some beaks on. So I'm going to go for putting a curvy wing shape in like that, and bringing it down so it's kind of just past the end, and then when that's done I'm going to bring it up and then curve it and see if giving them a bigger base, see how I like that. So this is just about playing till I get some shapes that I like, really, and when I get a shape that I like I'll be able to do it again. It's really odd that when it's a pattern like this, it's repeated like birds or something like that, I can do it lots and lots of times, but if it's a painting like a sloth, I'm really resistant to doing it again. I don't like doing it again straight afterwards. Oddest thing. I suppose these are different every time. They're never going to be exactly the same. So I've got some little hard lines here where some was wet and some was dry. I'm just going to add in some little bits of colour, just kind of literally where it's wet. I'm touching a wet brush with paint on it. Hi Yvonne, good to see you. So I'm going to pop in with now oddly enough, with this number 3 spotter I could not do those beaks, but I could with this number 6 round, so it has a much better point to it. I'm just going to pop in the little beaks that I've missed, and these two, I quite like the beaks. And then I'm going to actually try even with a smaller brush. I'm going to try with a 000, because I don't have the number 1, I don't think, which would be a more sensible choice really to try out. So I need something maybe a little bit smaller in here. That's going to be the back, that can be the front here. Hi Nancy. And then a set of wings and a set of wings. I'm liking doing that curvy line better. I've got a real inclination that I'm choosing not to follow at the moment, because I don't want to put one lot of different wings in. I may not have room to do lots more of just doing those lines all the way along to see what it's like, but it's definitely an inclination that I'm going to come back to if I do this again. And if I was working on one of my A6 cards, then I would, you know, which I almost certainly will do, because I want one of these to stick in my box of kind of ideas for when I get a bit stuck and don't know what it is that I fancy doing. Oh, I hope the shopping is unpacked swiftly. And thank you, lovely. It's so nice to kind of see you and say hi. Thank you for popping in. So, I want a kind of a pinkier pink, but not quite opera rose. So I've put some opera rose and then popped in a little bit of a purpley pink. Just to, this body's gone dry because it took me a while with this little brush because the spotters don't hold so much. So I just want to get some colours going on in there so it's not all one flat colour. Alright. Okay, so I've got a space here, a space here, a space here that are really drawing my eye. And what I tend to do is, if something is drawing my eye, rather than going, oh, it's not looking right and beating myself up about it, I go, okay, so my eye's getting drawn there and I don't want it to. Why is it drawn there? Well, partly it's because there's a little bit of paint. Can I lift it off? So I'll try wetting it, pressing with a tissue. Yeah, I can make it a bit paler, that will help. And the second thing is that gap is a bit too big. Same with this gap and possibly here. And this one is probably the first one I'm going to do because it feels the biggest gap to me, and it might make the gaps around it feel different, if that makes sense. And what I'm going to go for is a bird going off the page. So I don't really want pointy, I want roundy, if I can, with the heads for now. There we go. And I'm going to pop a rounded wing in, and I'm going to miss that beak on purpose, like so. And then here, like that. This is going to come around to there. I'm going to swap to a smaller brush because today I'm finding it tricky to do these little bits, so I need a smaller brush to just draw them. Filling them in is fine with the bigger brush, and I could use the end of the brush this way around, probably, I think, to just kind of pull the shape out, and that would work. Fill this one in, drop in a few of the different colours just to get a little bit of variety and some interest there. And that's that one. This one's still really drawing my eye. I'm actually feeling like I might just have a wing popping in here, just like that. And again, I'm going to use this smaller brush, so I'm swapping between like a number 3 and a 000, but I honestly think that it doesn't make any difference what I'm using. It's about what works for you. You may find that a number 6 round works brilliantly for you, and actually when I painted that, I am almost certain my little one that I painted with my number 8 round, and that worked for me on that day. So just go with what works for you, and if something's not feeling 100% comfy, this page is the perfect place to try something different and see how it works, and just approach it with a little bit of curiosity and a little bit of, what if I use a different brush? What if I use a different colour? What if I make the wings longer or shorter? What do I like best? It's a really good chance to explore. I was a bit gutted. I went on to Jackson's, the art shop in the UK, to get myself a new set of spotters because my spotters are getting really worn. And they were in stock, and I left them in the basket because I couldn't really afford them. And then a lovely person bought one of my art classes, and another lovely person bought one of my art classes, and so I thought, you know what, I could go and get a new set of spotters. And they didn't have any, and they didn't know when they were going to be back in. So lovely people that bought my art classes this week, I thank you for my new number 6 brush that I'm getting to try out. And I ordered a number 4 as well, I think, that is going to come, because those are the sizes I like. Now, these are the ones that I've been using. These are Master Touch. They're kind of not as soft, they're more springy. And so I'm going to try doing one in that, just to see how it feels, because I remember that I wanted to, but I might not get to do a whole one. So I'm going to have a look. Here is drawing my eye, so I'm going to pop a bit of a wing in there. So I'm going to kind of do just a wing, there won't be a body. That Princeton brush has got a much softer feel, and the point is nice. It doesn't scratch across the paper in the same way this brush does. It smooths. I think these would be really good for some acrylic work. But as I don't have any other rounds, and I don't really mix my brushes. Oh, Liana, they are. I really like them. They're really fantastic for lots of the stuff I do where you're kind of essentially drawing with paint like this. They do work really well for that. I'm going to pop some little parts of wings now, just to kind of, and little kind of bits of heads. Have I missed any more beaks? Yes, you don't have a beak. Here's a beak. Anybody else who's beakless? You are. I think maybe just a little bit of a wing here, like that. And although there are more places where I could pop stuff, I'm feeling at a point where I'm quite happy to stop with this. I have never tried those, but I think I do have an Escoda brush that I really do like. Is that one Escoda? No, this isn't. It's I must have looked at them. I have to check those out. I'm just going to write it down because I'll never find it in the thread afterwards. Bear with me just for 1 sec. I didn't have very good brushes for quite a while. I used to paint with the brushes I used for the kids in school an awful lot because you needed to be able to do it with their brushes, this is one, and I still do quite like them. Right, so this needs to be totally dry so that we can start thinking about adding on some things like flowers and botanicals and those kinds of things to them. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of heat drying with the heat gun. So if you've got anything you need to ask me, or if you need me to pause a bit before I go on to the next step, pop me a comment up. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen them somewhere. I can't, if they are only available in Spain, I'm not sure where I would have seen them, but I definitely, I'm going to check them out anyway. If you say they're good brushes, I will want to check them out. I'm always looking for good brush recommendations. I've yet to find, other than my spotters that I like for drawing in paint, and some others that I like for big work, I'm still working on finding really, brushes that you love in the same way I have colours I love, and pencils, and there are certain pens that I like the feel of in my hand. I'm still looking for that with brushes. Just need to let it cool down a second. The way I tend to tell if something is dry or not is once it's cooled from the heat gun. If you put your hand on a side that you've not used and a hand on this side, if there are any cool patches, that means that they're not quite dry. So this is a little bit cool here. So I'm going to leave him till last. I think the others will be okay. So I'm looking for some kind of simple florally kind of patterns that I can use. I could go for almost anything. I need something that is going to fit on the wing and is going to work like as something that I can either reproduce or do simply. So while I'm pondering exactly what I might put on there, I'm going to, that's naphthalide maroon, not the colour I was looking for really, because I need to mix up something that's a darker, I want a darker, more intense kind of purple. There, that's the kind of colour I'm looking for. So I dropped in a little bit of indigo into that. So I've got this lovely, I don't know, aubergine colour. And I'm using, at the moment, my 000 spotter. And the first thing I want to do is put something down the body. And so a really nice, simple thing to do is that if you do a semicircle and put 3 bumps, got kind of a flower shape. I really need to get in close to this. I might need an even smaller brush than this. And I'm just seeing if my paint is good. So I'm putting the brush in and using the tip of the brush to make the bumps, almost like a little stamp. And then I'm just going to pull a stem out, and I'm going to stop it. I'm going to imagine there's an eye here, so I'm going to stop it a little bit before that. Yeah, I do. I think I want the finer brush for me today. That's just what I need. And then I'm just going to pop just pairs of leaves on. And we're glazing these on the top, so we're trying not to disturb the layer underneath, and we're kind of stroking it on quite gently. I've got kind of imaginary lines that from when I drew the body that I'm sticking within, because when I come to do some pencil work on these, I'm going to want to pop some shade in there, and I'm making sure I come down with that last pair of leaves to the bottom. So my flower's a bit small compared to my leaves, so I might need to think about that. On these ones, I'm actually going to start the stem here, and then I'm going to have the semicircle here. So if you can see the semicircle kind of getting painted in. Then with paint on my brush, I'm just using it almost like a stamp. Like that. And I've got 4 in. And then I'll go back along that stem. And then again, pairs of leaves. I'm actually going to start from the bottom this time. There we go. I'm just going to do the same on the other side so it matches. Hi Jean. So I'm just going to pull the kind of central stem down like that. Semicircle. And then a loaded brush. I'm going to kind of stamp. I'm going to do either end and then one in the middle. Which isn't going to match the one the other end. But I'm playing around with ideas here, so I'm okay with that. If you want them to match, absolutely make them match. I want these to be dark enough so that I can add some white Posca pen detail into them. So I'm going quite heavy with the paint, and if it's not dark enough, I'm kind of going back in and dripping a little bit more on there. Like that. Okay. And that's the first one with this pattern on. So I might use different patterns on all of them, but I want to use that pattern in at least one, preferably 2 other places, because it will make it fit with the whole design. So I'm actually going to do that first. I'm going to figure out where those other places are. So I'm going to do one here. I'm going to draw my semicircle first. Now I'm going to need to turn my paper, move my palette, so that I can kind of use the end of my brush to make the 3 little bumps like that. And then I can pull the line down, stopping roughly where I think the eye is going to be. Like this. This one's only going to get 3 leaves like that. And then I'm going to pull, and there's nothing that says I can't use this pattern on every single bird if I want to. You know, it's not a rule. So if I don't think anything else that I want to explore, it's a bit flatter, then I can stick with these. I want to try and think of some other ones that I want to play around with. I actually really like just circles on the end of the flower stem, so I might try that. Maybe a daisy shape could be fun. So let's pull a line down, get a semicircle on. Even just a semicircle like that's quite fun. I might try just that on its own without these little bobbly bits. And with glazing, we're trying really hard not to disturb that underneath layer of paint just to get this to kind of sit on the top. So that's it in 2 places. One more, and I'm going to go for this one, I think, here. So we will pop in see if I can do this one around. Yes, I can, just about. Thanks, Nancy. Has your internet stopped playing up yet? So I need to pull the little stem around there, do my little semicircle. Okay, and do the leaves. I haven't seen Eve pop up tonight. I'm hoping that she got some painting today, bless her. There we go. That's that in 3 lovely places. So I've got my idea for daisies. Hi Law. It's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for popping in and saying hi to us. I love it that you pop in and say hi. Texting, that's impressive. Texting and listening. Texting and talking is really hard. I tend to type what I'm saying, so I don't do that very often because sometimes it goes really wrong. Let's see. Daisies, semicircles, circles. So many choices. I am going to go with a little circle like that, and then I'm just going to pull out some petals, and I'm going to have a curvy little stem that stops there, and see how that looks. I'm alternating these like that, and I'm going to next time put the stem in first, I think. So going to have the stem curve from there and come around here, and then I'm going to pop on a circle, and then I'm going to pull nice and line down like that. Not sure I'm loving this pattern, but I'll give it a go. I like the curvy vine. That's definitely working for me. The kind of daisy flower is not. In fact, it's very much not working for me. I'll try. Yeah, that's a bit better. If I actually use my brush to make them a little bit fatter, so I'm kind of pressing down with my brush rather than drawing a line. I'm kind of pressing and creating. That's better. Still not quite what I'm looking for, but better. I'll do that on them. It also is making them dark, which is making them stand out from the vine a bit, which I'm liking. So we'll get this one on. So a little bit of a circle, maybe about there, and then I'll do my first little press petal. 2, 3, 4. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm having to turn this so much. Normally I try really hard not to. I'm going to put an extra one in there. Hi Elaine. Thanks Mika. I'm glad you're finding it relaxing. It's very relaxing to do actually. I think I said last time that normally I'm quite very kind of just quiet in the painting. When I'm doing the lives, it's a different kind of mindful. Still being really present with talking to you and telling you what I'm doing, which is quite kind of cool. I'm just going to refresh my screen because I've stopped seeing what I'm doing. So Bear with me just a second. There we go. I can see where I'm putting my page now. That's the only reason I'm bothered, really. So I need to put that in 2 other places, but it wasn't my favourite, so I'm going to actually deliberately put one of them here, even though it's a little bit close. And I'm really loading up my brush, so it's kind of got a really decent amount of paint and pigment on it, like this. There we go, and then we can pop the leaves on there. They're alternating, so, and I don't have the bottom, so I'll just pop them on like that. And then I need to do one over on this side to kind of balance it out a little bit, I think. Could get away with maybe this one. Yeah, I'll do, oops, throw my brush around. Right, so let's see if I can remember. How did I... Right, I did a weavy one from there. I did a weavy... I'm just popping my stems in first, I think, this time. Just to have an idea of where I'm going. That one was a bit weird and wonky. Never mind. 2, 3... Lots of twizzling to use this pressing my brush. But it works fairly well at getting a shape that I like. I'll do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5. Now this one I'm going to need to make a little bit smaller, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now for painting on some of the leaves. So I'll put a leaf at the base of these ones. So I'm just going to repeat that and then alternate going up. Which is what that leaf pattern's called. When you identify them. I'm full of odd bits of knowledge. I was reading today that you can use oak apples and the galls that you find on oak trees that are from like insects like wasps. You can actually use them to make inks and dyes, which sounds fascinating. But I couldn't find a straightforward answer for when can I collect them and there aren't going to be bugs inside them. So I've got a few more to do. I've only got 10 minutes left, so what I want to do is actually dry and show you what we do with the pencil so that you know where to go with these. So I'm just going to give these a quick blast, show you with a pencil, then probably go back to painting. So I've just done these 2 to make sure they're dry enough. Now I have got mechanical pencils that have got a 0.3mm lead in. One of them is a HB and one of them is a 2B, and they have these lovely little twisty bits in, but that one's moved, so I'm just checking. I think this one is the 2B, but it's doing the weird thing that it does when it's run out of lead. And the other one doesn't want to come out, so I have to faff about with it for a second. So my faffing about involves poking the lead in down the end of the pencil and trying not to break it, the lead that is. And then if this doesn't work, I'll have to use the HB while I fix this later. It really doesn't want to go down today. I think there's a little bit of pencil lead caught in there. Oh, I snapped the lead. This is where I get a bit cross and frustrated because I love this pencil, but I hate having to faff around. I probably should just get a new one or take it apart and see what's actually wrong with it, because you shouldn't need to do this. I don't need to do it with the other one, and the kids don't need to do it with theirs. And okay, well I've got something coming out now. going to poke those little bits of lead back in the hopes that they will go through and work for me. Let's see. So if you've got a mechanical pencil that isn't a pain like mine, great. If it's a pain like mine, it's kind of worth persisting. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of draw on a circle for where the eye is. Can't see it too much at the moment, but I'm popping it there because it helps me as kind of a point of reference. The second thing is I'm going to put a line that goes just down here, down the side, like that. And I'm just trying to define the side of the bird a little bit. And then I'm going to grab probably a blendy stump and just give that a little bit of a blend where it meets the wing. I just want a little bit of shading to be there, just to set those back a little bit. You can also do it by using some Payne's grey and glazing that on the top. Then I am going to make sure I've got a nice little bit of definition here on the wings. So I don't necessarily want to outline it all really dark. So for quite dark, I'm going into the bits that I want to emphasise and giving them quite a clear, defined line. Then I'm just going to take a softer, kind of gentler line, and then sometimes not any kind of line at all, up from those kind of more defined bits, so that then when I get to the body, which is just here, I actually make that a little bit darker on purpose to emphasise it. So kind of where there's a corner or lines meeting, I make it darker, but otherwise it's kind of a little bit of a stroke along. And so that's my little bit of pencil work. Now, if I don't think there's enough shading there, I go in with these. These are Mars Lumograph black pencils. They're just like an ordinary graphite pencil, except they don't shine. This is a 6B. I'm just putting a little bit either side because I do want that shading to be a bit heavier along the edge of the wings. I want to push the wings back and bring the body forwards, essentially. A little bit too much there, so I'm just going to throw things on the floor. I'm going to give this a little bit of clean. Can you see how much kind of graphite and stuff there is on there? I'm going to do it, now you know what the noise is, I'm just going to do it over here so the bits don't go on the paper, and then just smooth that out a bit. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, is that kind of level of shading. And then my last step, I bet you can get. All right, Nancy, sorry, take care, lovely, is some white dots. I'm using a Posca pen, I'm using a bullet, and it's a 0.7. I'm filling in the white of the eye, and then I'm just going to put some white dots along the flowers here, and then I think along here, and obviously on the other wing to match. And then I think I'm going to put a white dot in each of those little bubbles that I did, even though that one's got 4 and that one's got 3. And then the only thing that's left to do is to put a little black dot, for which I am going to use this pen, into the middle of that eye, just like that. And that's kind of what I'm looking for as my finished bird. So if I lift that up, I'm hoping if I put it somewhere there, and if I woggle this light a bit, that you'll be able to see what I've done. It does, it is so lovely on the top, Leanna, I agree. So can you see, literally, it's really light most places with a pencil, and then just heavy where I want to accentuate or emphasise the shape or really define it, and then just some white dots. So, I do exactly the same on this one. I'm actually going to just pop the shading in first and then just go in with my mechanical pencil. Like this. And then just emphasise or make it heavier where they meet the body. And just a really light, almost just stroking my pencil on, just to firm up that edge just a little bit, just to define it a little bit. Like that. A little bit of smudging. A little white Posca eye. I'm going to do a white centre in each of these flowers, like that. And then instead of kind of dots along the stem, I'm just going to pop some dots on the actual kind of wing. And I'm doing a couple of dots just to try and make them nice and white. Please excuse the noise of my child. Put a few more on here. Just add them on. I think 3 little dots on there might be nice. I love white dots, so I never really know when to stop. I think that's probably when to stop. Oh, Eve, I'm so sorry you didn't get a notification. That's so annoying. I sent out all the invites that it would let me. However, as I've done with all the other lives, I'm editing them and sticking them up on to YouTube just to improve the sound because it's really quite quiet. And so I'll get this edited and up as soon as I can. Until it's edited and up, I leave the live video in the Facebook group so that it is at least somewhere for you guys. So we finished these two, we kind of know where we're going, and I'll just hold that one up so that you guys can see it. Do you all feel fairly confident in carrying on now and being able to finish these? This is one I would come back to, and this is often what happens with my mindful watercolour work when I don't have loads and loads of time. By Liana, I do a bit, maybe put the basic shapes down, and then I'll come in and do some of the flowery bits, and then I'll come in and do some of the pencil work, and it builds up over time. Okay, it has been lovely arting with you guys tonight. I hope you have had fun and that you are all ready to go create or to carry on creating your lovely folk art inspired birds. I think I've got a page on Pinterest that's got some ideas for different kind of flowers that you can put in there. If when you've done this you find a shape you really like, it's actually quite fun to do a big one with more detailed flower works in, if that's something you like. Just think about whether you might need, rather than this page, you might need something kind of like a 1/2 to 2/3 of that size to be right for the proportions. It was fantastically awesome arting with you. Please, if you do create it, post it up in the group as a lovely separate post, because then you can post a couple of pictures and close-ups if you want to as well. And tag me in if you post it anywhere with @Rae Creates. I would really love to see anything and everything that you do. Make sure to do happy little dances. Thank you so much for joining me for art tonight. I hope you have awesome evenings and days and afternoons for some of you, depending on where you are in all of the time of everything. Take care, and I'll speak to you all really, really soon.